Hey guys, welcome to another Trade Genius podcast. Bob and Phil here as always. Are we going to get another silver squeeze? Well, we're going to talk about that in this video. We're also going to talk about a possible inflation surprise, and that's going to affect everything going forward into the rest of the year. So let's dive into this video.
Trade Genius.
Hey guys, really briefly before we jump into this video, appreciate all the likes and subscribes, and if you can ring that notification button, that really helps us out. In addition to that, if you guys don't mind, head over to tradegenius.co, check out our specials we have over there. There's a number of different specials with different packages for all different experience types. If you're more into education, we have a package for that. If you just like to get into the room, primarily, we have a package for that as well, where you can see where we're calling out trades and things like that live, and also posting signals into our Discord signal rooms. So check it out, tradegenius.co. Appreciate you doing that. Hey Bob, so market digested kind of the move up from the whole last week, and Friday kind of withered away. But interestingly though, with going on in the markets and everything that the Fed is doing and isn't doing, though, it sets up an interesting scenario for silver. And I like the chart that you had worked up.
Yeah, so you throw that chart up, we have a situation here where it's painting. This is a weekly chart, guys. Mm-hmm. It's painting a weekly inverted head and shoulders, which is massive. It covers over 2 years of price action. And we've had, this is the second higher low, and we had the second higher high. And now the trick is going to be, Phil, is will silver break this $27 area-ish? Right. And if it does, then, you're looking at $39 silver. Right. The only caveat I have with this, Phil, is that the market looks like it's rolling into a topping pattern at the moment, and I don't know if silver or anything is going to be able to avoid it. Because as we talked about yesterday in our podcast, yesterday was a bit of a liquidation day. So when you have energy and stocks going down and Bitcoin going down, I don't think anything would be able to avoid it. So then what we need to see here for silver is it needs to stay over $22. So if it does that and doesn't take that swing low out, then I think we're in a position for a massive move higher. And the reason why I think we're going to get this move higher, and I hate to use the word eventually for silver because we all been pretty long suffering. The chart's looking pretty decent here, but could you go to the other chart? I want to show you that this is part of the magic trick that these guys use to fool people in terms of data. Yeah. Okay. We've been hearing is inflation's falling, but it's all context, right? So, these are comparisons over the last 12 months. Of course, we had this massive money supply pop. So really all we're doing is we're rising at a slower rate, correct? So that's what you call it. But look what goes on after this month. The comps get hard again, Phil. Yeah, that's wild. And people aren't expecting that. And everybody's rejoicing that the inflation war has been won. And then here we go, projecting right back up again. And I think that's what's going to, like, if we start getting these prints, then, the market's going to freak out a little bit, because I think they've been trying to call the Fed's bluff on higher for longer, Bob. And this is going to validate that. And I think the reaction to the market is going to be pretty violent when it starts to initiate. And this is the part where it's like hard to call a top. The market does this by design. Hard to call a top. And then in 2 days, you're just whoosh. And you're like, yep, looks like the top was in. Well, here, let me paint a scenario for you here. So Powell's going to raise rates in July, okay? Mm-hmm. And then the August CPI report's going to come out, and it's going to be not as friendly as they expected for June, okay? And then he's going to raise again in August. And right into the scenario that you've been laying out since the beginning of the year, the back half of the year is going to be an utter disaster. And I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see that swoon, and then they know they lost control of the CPI. And election season's coming, and they're going to throw money supply on this thing. And then that's when I think after this next sell-off, we're going to see Bitcoin, gold, silver, those miners, the Bitcoin miners, they're all going to rip. And then the rest of the market's going to suffer with margin compression. Yeah, I agree. And I think Bitcoin on Friday was a big tell, because if you notice Bitcoin, when it's coming off the lows or the highs, there's generally a pretty dramatic move. So I don't think it's, if we're rolling over
silver here, Bitcoin, I think was a tell on Friday, because everything was set up for that to leave that range and start heading toward 34, right? And it just utterly failed. It was breaking out, peeking its head over it, had a higher daily close than the previous attacks on the high end of that range, and it just totally collapsed. I think we're probably heading sub 30, and then, you know, if we don't hold 29s, I think that's going to be the clue that we're probably going to be probing lower, probably under 28, and that's a significant failure of that zone, because, you know, we've basically been in a price range, a price balance up there for about 20 days, and typically when Bitcoin's doing that, you're looking for that base to turn up and go higher if we're truly coming out of a cyclical bottom. And so I think if Bitcoin's making a higher or a lower high, right, in the bear cycle, then we got this next move down, and that's where I think we start the journey toward the lows of the year for equities, actually the lows for 2022 for equities. And then metals, you know, you got that line there on the silver chart, which those lines are pretty stout. That's your basically flip the trend line there on silver, going back to that chart. And so that's a key, to me, that's a key level for silver to move up. So if we're right, and that probably rejects back down, you do get an opportunity to get silver at lower. But, you know, I think what's happening here with the Fed and everything else is ultimately they're going to have to capitulate at some point. And that's where, I mean, look what silver is doing. I mean, it's building over 20, you know, like that's always been it's just been a real battle up here. But I think we're getting a really constructive structure here. And I totally agree with you. I think silver goes much, much, much higher, actually, as we get through 2024. You know, like my outlook is we're going to have a nice sale. We're going to have a blue light special in 2024. And I think once we get through that, and you're going to have to be a little patient, but once we get through that funk, you're going to have like generational type entries on a lot of things. And then your job is just to be patient and create yourself a nice long-term portfolio. But those levels, I don't think we're going to see for a very long time again.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, silver's a perfect storm, right? The silver gold ratio is in its favor. Mm-hmm. You need silver. You know, it's an industrial metal as much as it is a precious metal. So supply is low. And look, you know, we have examples in the past, right? You know, we had the platinum palladium in 2016, where you got a double over 3 months because of the supply shortage. You had the nickel shortage that you saw a 200% move over a couple months when China squeezed the nickel market. Mm-hmm. So I can certainly see silver getting squeezed, and there's precedent for silver too. So it's just that they've been fighting it. But, you know, the more and more people are diversifying out of the dollar in terms of protection because it's inflation that's around the world, eventually something's going to break. So my view is I own some miners, and I'm just slowly building a position. I'm not making a market call, Phil, unless that 27 gets breached. Then I'm going to send the tanks through and I'll take a bigger position. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep stacking not so much my physical, but stacking on my on the miners. Just like Bitcoin miners, you're going to get a lot of leverage short term and use that leverage to then transfer those gains into actual silver. But yeah, we're gonna have a massive shortage coming up here. There's no way they can do the Green New Deal and the technology they use silver to, and the monetary crisis without silver getting a good guy. Plus, you're getting to a point now where the mines can't operate. You know, the cost of production is going up, mm-hmm. and it's just going to curtail even more production in the future. So yeah, bullish, but I agree with you. I think we swooned and boom.
Yeah, it's a good setup though, you know. And the only thing I would add to silver is, you know, we've got a range here. If you look at, we're currently in the middle of the previous low to high move, right? And I think that is the range that you want to see. So if we do fail here and make a lower low and fail that swing low, then you want to look at that previous swing low between 20 and 22 right before April. And a lot of times, you know, the markets, they're going to go scam a low and then retreat back inside of it. So if you do see that level get tagged, we make a little slightly lower low and it comes back inside. Those are usually also great entries. What that implies is as long as that low holds, that you run back up to these highs. So we may see something similar as we roll over. But if we do that, then that's very much what metals do in a recessionary environment. Is they go down, but they don't go down and make new lows. By that I mean the lows from last year. They would actually make a higher low, which is very textbook, while equities suffer worse and take out their lows from last year. So I like this area, and I think it's a pretty clear-cut play here with the range that we have. And but yeah, I think next year, or maybe toward the end of next year into 2025. Very bullish for all metals and very bullish for Bitcoin and some altcoins as well.
Yeah, no, and for people, what Phil means by a scam low is that the dealers and the institutional money will try to make it look like it's going to be putting a low in,
Right.
and all they're really doing is creating a liquidity event for themselves to
Right.
chase people out of their position so that they can add to their position and they take it right back to the top. How many times have you gotten stopped out in the past and that market turned right around on you and ran right up back to the highs? That's what Phil's referring to.
Yeah, here's a tip for you guys that are trading. If you put your stop below a low, you want to make sure that low took out another low, right? So you want to take it, put it behind a lower low. If your low hasn't been violated before, that's probably not a good spot to put your stop, and you might want your stop a lot tighter because that's what they do. They go and they take out, once they take out the stops, whether it's on the bottom or on the top side, then usually the move happens. So you got to watch those fresh lows or fresh highs for putting your stops behind, because those usually are a sucker's high or low, and then the real one is after that.
Yep, and that's an area that's caught me many a time. Even though you think you know what you're doing, I still fall for it every once in a while myself. So yeah, that's what makes the game hard, but makes the game fun too. So thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. In SoCal here, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a little hot, but we've been cold for so long. We kind of appreciate it. And just to hit like, hit subscribe, hit notification, tell your friends. And I'm telling you guys, these next couple months, we get a two-way market. We're going to make a fortune because, those markets are even better than grinders. So get ready. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. Smash that notification bell and set it to all if you can. And also check out our specials at tradegenius.co. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Trade Genius.